Yvonne, UFC 249. Who were your winners and losers from 249?
Okay. I'm gonna go with my winner, Justin Gaethje, no doubt about it. He was the underdog coming into this fight. A month ago he wasn't even scheduled to fight. Everybody knows it was Tony Ferguson versus Khabib. Khabib wasn't allowed to leave Russia due to their quarantine rules. They put in Justin Gaethje. I picked Tony Ferguson as majority did to win this fight, and Gaethje dominated. I had it 5-0 up until the stoppage in the fifth round. I thought he won every round. Um, I'll say this for Ferguson. He said it after the match. It's kind of an excuse, but he said, I've been training this whole time for a wrestler, and out of nowhere, I'm prepared to, and I have to, go up against a stand up guy. But Tony Ferguson, this isn't your first fight ever. And plus, Justin Gaethje didn't know he was going to fight at all. So no excuse really there for Tony Ferguson. He just got dominated. So Justin Gaethje, big winner now. He's the champion as well as Khabib, and that looks like that's going to be the next fight in line. My loser, Rosenstruck, that lost to Francis Ngannou. He was undefeated, 10-0. He called out Ngannou and got knocked down 20 seconds. And he's known for knocking guys out. So I understand him trying to stand up with Francis Ngannou, but Francis Ngannou hits harder than any heavyweight, any UFC fighter currently or probably ever. And he lost to Stipe Miocic literally because Miocic took him down for 5 rounds. Do not stand up to Francis Ngannou. You're gonna lose. It's a bad game plan, and just doesn't make sense. Why would you ever try to stand up with Francis Ngannou? You gotta during this whole time training, he should have been preparing to wrestle. That should have been the plan. He literally stood up there, threw a couple of haymakers, and it cost him. I just thought it was a bad game plan. It's one thing if you get knocked out against a knockout artist without if you're trying all night to take him down. He wasn't trying. It was just a bad game plan, and it cost him. Um, so in terms of the other fights, nothing too surprising. The co-main event, Henry Cejudo versus Dominic Cruz. Cejudo was winning the fight, and then obviously got the TKO in the end. I personally think the ref stopped it a little too early. It was 2 seconds left in the round. He should have let the round end. But it is what it is. Cejudo retired right after the fight. To be honest, I don't think he's retiring. Just the way he said it and everything just doesn't make me want to believe it. I think he's probably trying to hype up his next fight coming out of retirement or something along those lines. Greg Hardy got another win, this time in decision. That was a solid fight. Anthony Pettis, Donald Cerrone was a solid fight. I thought Pettis would win. Nothing surprising there. Um, so those are my winners and losers. And honestly, another big winner is Dana White. You know, he's been trying so hard to make the UFC go on regardless of the rules. They obviously are doing corona tests before every event. They had 24 fighters, 23 tested negative, one tested positive. And obviously that fighter did not end up fighting. So they didn't get the gate money, but they got the pay-per-view money, and I'm sure it's higher than usual. So shout out to Dana White for making it happen, and they're gonna immediately roll out another pay-per-view next month. They're gonna keep it going. So those are my winners and losers. Just happy I saw something in terms of live sports this past weekend.
My winners and losers is I'm gonna start off with my winner, and I'm gonna go with Anthony Pettis, man. Anthony Pettis, he needed this fight badly. He needed a win, and he put on a great show with his striking throughout the fight. He showed that he had a strong chin because Cerrone nailed him a couple times with some hard shots towards the end of the fight. And Pettis was able to regroup, and Pettis found a way to to come on top with the fight, and I think possibly put himself in contention also for a title after that win. Another winner of mine is Cejudo. Also, I'm gonna say he is retired, so he comes out on top, man. As you know, he went on a high note as a champion, retaining the title, and then he announced his retirement. So I mean, what there's nothing better than that. You know, leaving on a high note from your perspective sport. With the I had Dom. I don't have Dominic Cruz as my loser, uh, as far as that fight goes, because Cruz was coming off, what I think a 4-year layoff. He has some fight, and he showed that he was kind of, he struggled to he struggled to throw in you know throw in strikes, kicks, just overall in his fight game. So I expect Cruz to come back, and I think he'll be a better fighter. And my loser is gonna be Tony Ferguson. I got him as my loser because you know this was a fight that people expected him to win. He had a replacement against um, Justin Gaethje, and he wasn't able to do it, and he got dominated in that fight. He was all bloodied up, battered up, and bruised everywhere, and man, and he just got outclassed in this fight, and I was kind of disappointed in this fight now, and then Ferguson, he had one of the longest winning streaks for quite some time because nobody could beat him. I think he was unbeaten for I think through 2016. So that was huge for Ferguson, but I didn't expect Ferguson to lose like this and go out like that. So that was highly disappointing. And Ngannou also 22nd knockout. I got him as my winner. Also, Ngannou 22nd knockout. I don't like that the way people are hyping him up off of that 22nd knockout. People are already starting to say that this guy could take out Stipe Miocic, but come on now, man, you can't do that just off of one
Oh
fight, man.
my
Stipe
God.
Miocic. When you
Don't,
talk
don't,
about
don't,
Stipe,
don't get Yvonne all excited.
when you
Calm
talk about
down.
Stipe Miocic, he took out um he took out Daniel Cormier
Watch your
in a
mouth
very
now.
classy
Watch your mouth. Watch
in a very
your
class
mouth.
in a very classy fashion, possibly put him into retirement. So Ngannou, I think people need to pump the brakes on this guy. It's just a 22nd knockout. I mean, let's calm down right now, man, and respect the champion.
Okay, so real quick, I know, like I tell you, I'm not the biggest UFC guy. I will say this: my biggest loser is Tony Ferguson because everybody, you two guys, everybody I know said Ferguson was gonna win. He's supposed to be fighting Khabib, but then a month, y'all said that guy came in a month and beat him. Come on, man, you're the biggest loser, and then the winner has to be the public. Let's be honest. Y'all are winners because I know you two guys are huge UFC fans, along with some of my other friends, huge UFC fans, and even the average fan probably tuned in. Like Yvonne said, the pay-per-view is probably through the roof because there's no sporting events. So that's my winner. That's my loser. I'm not the biggest UFC guy, and I'm not gonna claim to be, but I will say, shout out to Daniel Cormier. I see you, homie. Oh.
Yeah, you see him, but I haven't seen him since he lost to Stipe Miocic.
What coronavirus, Keo? Corona, we haven't seen anybody. Don't be disrespectful.
I'm gonna also say this about the event. I don't care about the UFC. Obviously, I prefer the UFC have fans in the stands, and you can hear the crowd on big certain punches or whatever. But I don't care. In terms of the UFC, I don't care if they're there or not. It would bother me with basketball or football that would just feel like a scrimmage to me. But in terms of the UFC without fans, I could do it. It's completely fine.
I
Doesn't-
want
Now let
to
me
say
get.
that. Let me just say this real quick, Keo. You know, I was just as I was talking, he was saying that I was thinking to myself, man, you know how much the tickets are gonna go for the first game back to the NBA, or like the first man, them tickets are gonna be through the roof because of this coronavirus. Everybody's gonna want to go. It's gonna be
And
crazy.
And I think if the NBA resumes, let's say next month, I think the TV ratings will go through the roof.
Yeah.
Through the
Mhm.
roof. You will get average basketball fans tuned in for most of the games.
That's right. That's right.
All
That's
right.
right.
All right. I'm gonna ask Yvonne one more question, and then we'll wrap it up for the UFC segment. So Yvonne, from a 1 to 10 scale, how would you rate this event entirely?
1 through 10, I'd give it a 8. I thought it was a good card. Gaethje Ferguson was a good fight, even though Gaethje was winning. You had the big knockout with Francis Ngannou. I give it an 8. It's not perfect because it didn't have that one star that stuck out, and also no fans were there, so that's the feeling and the atmosphere is not going to be the same. But I thought it was an 8. I'm happy with the event and keep them rolling. Honestly,
Can I ask y'all a
I
question
will.
real quick before
Yeah.
you go? Yeah. Who should Gaethje fight next, McGregor or Khabib?
personally, I think Gaethje should get Khabib, but I will say this: I think Gaethje does not match up well with Khabib. He's a stand-up guy, relies on his punches, and he hits hard. Ferguson can take punches like nobody. Anybody else would have been knocked out easily. But Khabib likes those type of fighters. He just takes them down and mauls them. And it just like, for example, Justin Poirier and Conor McGregor, they excel in standing up, and that does not work with Khabib. It just does not work. I think even Tony Ferguson would still match up better against Khabib than Gaethje would. But just because he's more unorthodox. But I do think Gaethje should get it. McGregor, man, I love McGregor. He's one of my favorite fighters, but he's too on and off. He fights 2 years, doesn't fight 2 years. The reason he gets these pay-per-view draws is because the UFC knows he will sell. But I think Gaethje deserves it, and apparently there's talks for Gaethje and Khabib in June. Now, Khabib, he's healed and ready to go. He was ready for this fight. Russia just didn't let him out the country, but Gaethje just fought 5 rounds. I don't know if he can go a month from now, or if that's even fair to him to not prepare more than a couple months for Khabib. But it looks like if they're planning for it in June, that means he's accepted it.
Oh, now it's my turn. All right. So you know what I'm about to say. I'm going with Conor, the notorious McGregor. Come on now, man. If Dana White wanna recover from this coronavirus, from the money they lost, you are gonna book the most must-see box office on-demand fighter that you have, and there's nobody out there that sells like Conor McGregor, unless you're John Jones, because
I was about to ask you that.
Conor McGregor, because Conor McGregor, he's out there, man, and I think it would be huge, especially what we're going through right now, and to have Conor McGregor on that card, and
I
it's a
will
must
say that.
see.
Sorry to cut you off, Keel. I don't think McGregor would take that fight without fans, and I don't think he should. I think it would feel weird to have that big of a fight with that type of superstar fighting without fans. I don't know. I know the pay-per-view numbers will be out the roof, but I think they'd be out the roof regardless. And then you add in the 40,000 seats or 17,000 or wherever they hold it. I I don't think the UFC even wants that fight without fans.
Well, Conor McGregor did express that he wants Justin Gaethje for that title. So I'm not ruling it out, but it does make a lot of sense though, as far as with no fans. But going back to the event, as far as rating it from a 1 through 10, I give it an 8. I think it lived up to its hype and its expectations. The card was good overall for itself, even the prelims also. And on top of that, there was some good fights on the main card also. So I think it lived to the hype, the expectations. I think commentary had a few glitches on there also during the event. And yeah, no fans, man. So it was completely different. But I'm glad though, man. So I'm glad that UFC came in, stepped it up, being the first sport to actually trying to do something about it. So and I think like I said yesterday, I think it's gonna be a domino effect. Everybody else is gonna come in and step in and actually try to resume play.